It was the middle of July, the kind of humid summer day that made everything feel slower, heavier. My mom had just gotten remarried 6 months earlier to Richard, a kind and quiet man who had a teenage son from a previous marriage. That's how I ended up with a stepbrother named Carter. He was only a few months younger than me, a senior in high school while I had just started my first semester of college. Carter and I were polite at first, that kind of awkward politeness that's neither friendly nor hostile. We weren't raised together, and it showed in the way we tiptoed around each other at first, unsure how much space to take up in each other's lives. But with time and shared dinners, chores, and the occasional sarcastic comment, we became close. Not just because we had to be, but because we actually liked each other's company. That particular afternoon, the air conditioner in the house was on the fritz, and everyone was out except me and Carter. I was sitting on the couch with a cold soda, flipping through my phone, when he walked into the living room, looking more anxious than usual. "Hey, can I ask you something?" he asked, scratching the back of his neck. "Sure," I replied, sitting up a bit. "What's up?" Carter hesitated, then sat down next to me, leaving a careful few inches between us. This is going to sound weird, but I need help. It's kind of a first-time thing, and I don't know who else to talk to. I blinked. First time, like driving, cooking, talking to a girl. He let out a short, embarrassed laugh. Actually, yeah, it's about talking to a girl. I mean, I've liked girls before, but there's this girl at school, Ashley, and she actually said yes to going out with me this weekend. Oh, okay. I smiled, relieved. That's great. So what's the problem? Carter looked down, rubbing his palms together. It's my first date, like ever, and I want it to go right. I don't want to mess it up. I figured you've probably had more experience than me, and maybe you could give me some tips. I couldn't help but laugh, but not in a mocking way. It was sweet, the way he was being vulnerable about it. You're overthinking it, Carter. But sure, I can help. We spent the next hour going over all kinds of scenarios. What to wear, what to say, how to keep a conversation going, how to not spill water all over yourself when you're nervous. It was fun seeing him relax. He actually took notes on his phone. Okay, I said after a while. So you've got the basics. But the most important thing is to just be yourself. Be kind. Listen. Don't try to be someone you're not. Carter nodded slowly. What if I get too nervous and freeze up? Then laugh about it, I said with a shrug. Seriously. Nothing makes people more comfortable than honesty. If you're nervous, own it. She'll appreciate it more than you think. His eyes lit up a little, and he gave me a smile I hadn't seen before. Genuine, relieved, grateful. Thanks, really. I didn't think you'd be cool about this. I'm your sister now, I said, nudging him. Sort of. This is part of the package. Step, he corrected with a grin, and I rolled my eyes. The next few days flew by, and Carter prepared for his big date. He even tried on outfits and had me vote on which one looked best. He ended up choosing a navy button-up shirt and jeans that weren't too casual. The day of the date, he was practically shaking with nerves. He paced in the kitchen, adjusted his hair 5 times, and finally turned to me. Would it be weird if I asked you to come with me? I blinked. Wait, what? Not to, sit with us. Just, be nearby. At the mall. In case I mess up or need help. You wouldn't have to do anything. Just knowing you're there might help me not freak out. It was such a weird request that I didn't know what to say at first. But then I saw how pale he looked, how his hands were trembling. And I remembered what it felt like to be that age, facing something that felt so big and foreign. All right, I said. I'll be nearby, but only if you promise not to look over at me every 5 minutes. He laughed, the tension easing off him. Deal. That evening, I sat at a coffee shop a few stores down from the restaurant where he was meeting Ashley. I had a book in my hand, but I kept glancing out the window, watching the entrance. After about 30 minutes, Carter walked past, hands in his pockets, shoulders tense. He looked over, saw me, and gave a small thumbs up. I gave him a wink, and he disappeared inside. I waited. 15 minutes passed, then 20, and then, to my surprise, Carter walked out again, alone. He looked stunned, as if he'd just seen a ghost. I stood up and went to meet him. "What happened?" I asked. He looked at me and said something that made my heart twist. "She didn't show up." I put my hand on his shoulder. "Oh, Carter. She texted 5 minutes before saying she wasn't feeling it," he said, his voice flat. "Said she changed her mind." I didn't know what to say. There was nothing worse than preparing your heart for something and then being let down like that. "Let's go get milkshakes," I said, trying to keep my voice upbeat. "Chocolate fixes everything." To my surprise, he laughed. "Okay, but I'm getting whipped cream and 2 cherries." "You deserve it," I said. At the diner, over greasy fries and thick shakes, Carter began to talk. Not just about Ashley, but about how he'd always felt behind, like everyone else knew what they were doing in relationships and he was just pretending. He talked about his mom's divorce, the pressure to seem cool, how hard it was to start over in a new family. I listened. Really listened. That night, back at home, he thanked me again. "You're the only one who really sees me," he said quietly. Not like a joke. Not like a little brother. Just me. And that was the moment that stayed with me. Not the date. Not the girl. But that moment of honesty, of real connection between 2 people thrown together by circumstance, but learning how to become family. What Carter did wasn't shocking because of any wild behavior. It was shocking because he trusted someone with his vulnerability. And in a world where everyone's pretending to be tough or cool, that kind of bravery is rare.